Hey there, so I have some information to share with you regarding these bugs. A lot of people talk about the Sims 4, it's so broken, it's so broken, it's so broken, it's so broken. And actually, I think it's a little bit unfair to not include the fact that it's not the Sims coding on a lot, not all, but some of these issues is not coming from the coding and the old and the age of the game and new packs being launched. Some of it, to the point of almost saying a lot of it, is coming from the EA app itself. And the fact that you can use Steam, and no, I'm not working for anybody, okay, I'm just a gamer that I'm considering switching to having Sims played through Steam, even though EA still works in the background, because of the update issues and so many times that stuff gets broken and launching issues. All of that's coming from the EA app. So I'm going to go into the detail of why Steam is better. So this is AI that I have, I ask a question through AI to get basically the answer based on data that has been collected. So this is what it says. I said, what are the advantages, if any, to play Sims via Steam instead of EA? And it says, although both Steam and EA's platforms require you to use the EA app to play The Sims 4, there are some potential advantages to managing your game through Steam. So I would say anything to reduce bugs is worthy of trying it, right? So besides having centralized game library, you have better sales and bundles, known for its frequent and significant sales events, including major seasonal sales, daily deals. Many players report the Steam offers more substantial and frequent discounts than Sims 4 and its DSL compared to the EA app. You have more stable updates, and players report fewer patching issues and a smoother overall update experience when managing the game through Steam, even though EA app still runs in the background. Robust features. Steam includes a suite of integrated social and community features, blah, blah, blah. The alternative platform support. There's disadvantages to consider. EA app is still required, okay? So if you're somebody with a lower end computer where even a little bit of CPU usage where EA works in the background, and I've showed where I've had to use Windows task, basically Control-Alt-Delete to force stop Steam, and Steam is aggressive. When it comes to force stopping it, you have to do it over and over and over to force stop. EA is easier to force stop, okay? But if you have a higher end performance, then it's really not going to make a difference if you have these working in the background, right? But for those with older computers, yeah, it does make a difference. So your DLC will only work with the Steam version of Sims 4 if you already have the base game on Steam. DLC purchased through Steam is also typically not compatible with the version purchased from EA Store, so keep that in mind. There's no Mac version on Steam, so that's a disadvantage. So the patch updates could be the issue with an EA app or EA platform instead of just Sims. So I would say, if you're going to make your purchases, make it through EA. Don't make your purchases through Steam, even though you get sales if you're concerned about that. But if you're like, you've made up your mind, you're committed to playing it through Steam, then it's better. You just get better deals. But like it said, you have to keep that in mind. Okay, so problems caused by the EA app. Update loops and failures. A bug can be caused by the problems with the game file themselves, the developer issue, or problems with how the EA app delivers, processes, and manages those files. Forced online updates. EA app has been known to force mandatory updates even when users have attempted to run in offline mode. This can break a player's game, especially if they're waiting for mod creators to update their content. Most common issues are infinite update loops, where the app tries and fails to update the game, and outright update failures. It prevents players from launching the game at all. And I've seen a lot of people talking about the launching issue. I've had launching issues, and I have shown ways to kind of bypass that by going to program files on your computer and literally starting or launching inside the folder instead of like via, your app or your shortcut on your desktop. But there's launching issues. That's a common issue with Sims, and it's not a developer thing, guys. EA owns a lot of games. Sims is just one of them. So the EA app can fail to launch the game properly after an update, sometimes just bring up the app itself instead of the SIMS4. So there's a variety of issues that can cause this issue. Background process issues. EA app's background services can sometimes conflict with other programs or fail to close properly. This leads to launch errors. Cache corruption, and I have recently shown troubleshooting how to, after there was this big mess of an update, and I showed how to correct it. And besides the repair and removing your mods and rebuilding your mod folder, one of the things that you have to do each and every time is clear out this cache. So that's not a Sims developer thing. That's an EA app platform issue. Okay, so there are cache corruption issues. How to distinguish between platform and game issues. The platform EA app issue if you're unable to start the update, or if you see an update loop, get an error message that points to the EA app, it's likely a platform issue. But a lot of people have said they've had to reinstall the EA app. Solutions often involve clearing the app's cache, running as an administrator, or reinstalling the EA app itself. The game developer issue. If the game successfully updates but then crashes during play or introduces new bugs or causes performance problems, the fault lies with the game's code. This requires a new patch from the Sims development team to fix. Combination of factors. In many cases, issues are a combination of factors. For example, an EA created patch may have bugs. That's a developer issue. And the EA app might fail to install it correctly. That's a platform issue, compounding the problem. Users who have mods and custom, they have, of course, more complexity, and it's a lot of maintenance to keep up with your mods. Make sure that the developers of them are updating them frequently or don't use them. Yes. So what I said, if you own SIMS4 packs and want to switch playing via Steam, of course, it will recognize that you own all the packs. The EA app is the master list, and keep in mind you have to have EA installed also, so Steam will see your ownership, local save files, your game progress, including your saves, basically in the same folder. There's no transfer needed because both the EA app and Steam versions of the game read from the same folder. There's no need to transfer your save files. When you install and launch the game through Steam, it will automatically find your existing save files and custom content. So how to switch from EA to Steam: uninstall the EA version and then install the Steam version and then download your packs, which will show up. So, and then there's the issue about Steam being hacked, but that's really more of the user vulnerability than the actual website itself. And a lot of specific games or emails and stuff like that. Don't ever be very careful about opening emails, especially when it comes to these platforms. So why are there less bugs after updates in Sims using the Steam platform? Well, this is the specific details of exactly why. There's a reliable download system. Steam has a more stable and mature download and file management system. So users do report frequently mention the EA app causing failed downloads, infinite update loops, game launch errors after an update is installed incorrectly. Built-in file verification. Steam has a built-in verify integrity of game files feature. So when you use this tool, it checks your installation for corrupted or missing files and replaces them. That can fix problems caused by a botched patch. The EA app has a similar repair function, which I have used, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But users' reports suggest it's less effective and sometimes fails to resolve the update issues, which I have seen that. Steam handles the core download. While the EA app is still required to run in the background, Steam is in charge of downloading and managing the core game files. So that means if you experience an update issue, it's more likely to be a problem with Steam's highly tested client than the EA app's often criticized one. Fewer launcher-specific problems. A significant portion of the issues reported on the EA app are related to the launcher itself, not the game code. These can include problems with the cache, as I've said before, the background services or account linking. Launching through Steam insulates the player from some of the more common EA app launcher problems. So what is not different? So if there's like a bug introduced by a patch from the developers, it's still going to exist on Steam. Mods will still break, so you have to make sure they're updated. And it's not about the game, but the launcher. The perception of fewer bugs is not about the game itself being more stable on Steam, but about the update process being more reliable and less prone to causing installation errors. So why are there less bugs after updates in The Sims using Steam platform? In conclusion, because when you launch the game through Steam, it uses Steam's own robust patch management system for the core game files. Whereas if launching directly through EA app is more prone to issues. So here's the breakdown of why players experience fewer issues with Steam's patching process. It has a reliable download system. It's more stable, mature download and file management system. The users report frequently mention the EA app causing failed downloads, infinite update loops, or game launch errors after an update is installed. It has a built-in file verification. If you use that tool, it checks your installation for corrupted or missing files and replaces them, which can fix problems that are caused by a botched app. While the EA app has a similar repair function, which I have shown in videos on how to troubleshoot, it does work, but not all the time. So user reports suggest it's less effective and sometimes fails to resolve update issues. The core download. EA app is still required to run in the background, but Steam is in charge of downloading and managing the core game files. So that means if you experience an update issue, it's more likely to be a problem with Steam's highly tested client than the EA apps often criticize one. Fewer launcher-specific problems. A significant portion of the issues reported on the EA app are related to the launcher itself, not the game code. These can include problems with its cache, background services, or account linking. Launching through Steam insulates the player from some of the more common EA app launcher problems. But what's not different, if there's bugs actually caused from the developers at Maxis, the bug will exist whether you launch the game from Steam or the EA app. Mods can still break, so make sure the mods are updating their mods. And always update and check your mods after any update. It's not about the game, but the launcher. The perception of fewer bugs is not about the game itself being more stable on Steam, but about the update process being more reliable and less prone to causing installation errors. So, how does Steam file verification fix patching issues? The Verify Integrity of Game File tool works by comparing the game files installed on your computer to a manifest, a record of all the files and their digital footprints, which is called checksums, which is stored on the Steam servers. This process directly addresses patching issues by automatically finding and replacing any corrupted or mismatched files. And here's a step-by-step breakdown of how it fixes patching issues. Checksum comparison. Steam scans your local game files, calculates unique checksum for each one, manifest checks, then it compares the checksums against the ones stored in the game's manifest on its servers. The manifest represents a perfect, unmodified version of the game's files. It finds corrupted files. If the checksum of a file on your hard drive does not match the checksum in the manifest, Steam will flag that file as corrupt or invalid. Missing files are also flagged. So that's really helpful to literally locate the problematic files for you. It replaces problem files. Steam automatically downloads a fresh, uncorrupted copy of the flagged file or files and uses them to replace the problem files on your hard drive. Patches the installation. The process is what fixes issues after a failed patch. If the initial patching process corrupted or failed to correctly install specific game files, the verification tool will identify and repair them, effectively repatching the installation with the correct files. So why this is effective against patching issues? It fixes the download errors. Sometimes a corrupted patch download is caused by a poor internet connection, hardware issue, glitch in the launcher, but the verification tool reruns the download for only the specific files that are needed. Catches installation mistakes. It's possible for the launcher to write files to the disk incorrectly, or for a temporary system error to occur during the installation process. The verification process cleans up these errors. Simple for the user. Rather than having to manually troubleshoot or perform a full reinstallation, which is often what required on the EA app, the user can just simply run the one-click tool. For many users, this is all that is needed to resolve a patch-related error. While the EA app has a similar repair function, user experience and community reports suggest that Steam's implementation is generally more reliable and effective at resolving common patch-related issues. Now, if you have an older computer, and maybe EA and Steam apps really doesn't take up that much space, but when they're both using, even when you're not gaming, they do run in the background. And when you see high CPU usage, you go use Windows taskbar, Control-Alt-Delete, and then you try to force stop EA. I don't care what anybody says. Shutting down, forcing EA background stuff that's going on where you're trying to do something actually is easier to do than Steam. Steam is super aggressive. When you want to shut it down, you can't. You have to do it over and over and over and over before finally you can force stop it. So I don't care what anybody says. I've had that issue, and I've shared that in a video where when you try to force stop EA. But if you have a higher-end computer with plenty of storage, etc., and processor, then it's really not going to make a difference. But for those with older computers, those kind of things are kind of important. But you can manage your EA app background processes. You can disable automatic updates. You can prevent startup. You can use your, via your computer, in your settings or in the app settings. And anyways, but I feel like this, with as many bugs as there are, and I have personally seen more of the app issues than I have. Maybe it's equal. Maybe the developer coding issues and adding new packs and just too much coding, and bugs that are caused. I would say a lot of stuff that happens, especially after updates, is really the app. It's the EA app and the launcher, guys. It really is. And I've showed that in the troubleshooting that I've done. Okay, so if you already have enough issue with bugs because it's an older game, it just has so much coding now, I think the amount of app platform issues, I think it would be worth me to try to switch to Steam, and just the less that I have to deal with when it comes to after updates, it's worth it. Anyways, tell me what you think. Have you used SIMS4 via Steam? And if so, has it been recently or currently? And I would appreciate your input, because a lot of people do report that it is better to use it on Steam. And interesting, I don't see any of the influencers, EA sponsored whatever, on YouTube saying anything about this. So yeah, share this with others so they can know, and maybe they will have a better experience on Steam. Anyways, I hope you have a blessed day. Bye.